The film opens in 1968 when Paul is preparing a surprise for his girlfriend Iris. Today is the opening day of a skyscraper called Skyview, so Paul takes Iris there, making her extremely happy. The couple takes a souvenir photo together while a naughty boy steals coins from the fountain below. For some reason, Iris begins to feel uneasy. When she gets in the elevator, that feeling grows stronger. The elevator also has a slight problem. When everyone gets to the top, Paul is informed that there are no tables left. They can sit at the bar or the outdoor area. He apologizes to Iris for the situation, and she is very sympathetic. She even puts a rose on Paul's shirt to ease the tension, accidentally pricking her hand with a thorn. From the moment she gets up here, Iris becomes more and more anxious about everything around her and feels like vomiting. She ran into the bathroom, was noticed by a female singer here, and with her experience as a mother, she asked Iris how many months pregnant she was. Iris was a bit surprised but also revealed that she had had the good news for more than a month. However, her boyfriend still did not know. To help Iris feel more comfortable, Paul took her to the outdoor area to get some fresh air. Taking advantage of the romantic scene here, the guy knelt down to propose to his girlfriend. Iris happily agreed and also told Paul about the baby in her belly. The two hugged each other happily with the blessings of the people there. But this did not last long when the boy who had just stolen the coin from the fountain brought it up here and threw it outside. One coin was blown by the wind and it flew back into the fan of the air conditioner. At the same time, the chandelier above also malfunctioned and a sharp piece of crystal fell down. Everyone started dancing happily together, causing the crack to grow larger and larger. The coin got stuck in the fan blade for a while and continued to be sucked forward, unfortunately causing a gas leak, and it seeped into the restaurant. What had to happen happened when the glass floor collapsed. The guards below were bewildered as people fell like jackfruit. Paul also suffered the same fate. Everyone ran away and this woman was unfortunately caught in the fire from the stove. With the leaking gas, as soon as she got close to that area, the restaurant became brighter than ever. The fire even burned the female singer from earlier. A staff member said, "Everyone, move to the stairs quickly." The mischievous boy immediately ran away the fastest. The accident continued when the stairs collapsed, causing some people to fall down. Only the boy survived. The only way down now was the elevator, but the number of trips at a time was limited. It also had a problem earlier. A man tried to squeeze himself inside when the elevator fell straight down, crushing him. Realizing that the restaurant was tilting to one side because the dozen could no longer stand. At the time when everyone was trying to hold on, the piano was hit by a falling coin, causing it to lose balance and slide down, pushing everyone down with it. The mischievous boy had just arrived, accidentally picking up the piano, and the coin returned to the fountain. From the beginning until now, Iris was still lucky to survive, but there was no way to escape. And there was one more person left, the singer's son, hiding in a barrel. Gathering all her courage, Iris ran to save the child before the whole restaurant fell down below. She clung to the pillar. Paul's newly proposed ring finger caught between the two steel bars. But it didn't last long. The two eventually fell and died. It turned out to be just a dream of a college girl named Stephanie. Recently, the girl kept having such nightmares day and night, and the woman Iris in that dream was Stephanie's grandmother. Her roommate advised her to go home and tell her family about this. The next day, Stephanie decided to go back home to see her father and her younger brother Charlie. Charlie was going to Howard's house to play with his cousins. It could be seen that everyone in the family was very close and happy with each other, except for Stephanie, who was a bit distant. She then asked him about Grandma Iris. He immediately changed his attitude, extremely upset, saying that she had gone crazy, abandoned everyone and lived in isolation somewhere. Since then, she had never returned to visit everyone. Mr. Howard left, but Stephanie still decided to find Grandma to end the nightmare that had been following her for more than 2 months. Howard's wife, Mrs. Brenda, told her granddaughter about a box in the kitchen cabinet. Inside were letters that Grandma Iris had sent to the family. There was also a photo of her and Paul in Stephanie's dream. When she had the address, she immediately went to find Grandma. After a long journey, Stephanie finally arrived. Outside was a strong fence, as if the homeowner did not want anyone to enter. Stephanie talked to someone on the security camera and was immediately sent back. But when she revealed that she was Iris's granddaughter, the gate was opened. Stephanie went inside and the person she had talked to was Iris. She was happy to have her granddaughter visit, but also acted strangely, not letting her move or do anything until it was safe. Iris asked about Stephanie's mother, Darlene, and learned that she had left when she was only 10 years old. Stephanie also got straight to the point that she had seen her grandparents in a dream about the Skyview restaurant, where it collapsed and everyone was abandoned. Iris said that was what she saw in her hallucination, and thanks to it, she ran to get the coin from the boy's hand and ran into the restaurant to warn everyone about the glass on the floor that was about to break. Thanks to that, everyone present at the restaurant that day escaped death. She saved everyone by cheating Death. Death didn't like it, so over the years Death came back to kill everyone who was there that night, including Paul. Iris tried to predict Death's steps to keep him at bay all this time. But it might not be long, because Iris was diagnosed with cancer 2 months ago. Right at the time Stephanie started dreaming. Iris then took out a book where she wrote down everything so she could understand what Death would do next. But Stephanie still didn't believe it much and was a bit scared. So she left, promising to come back to visit her next time. Iris chased her to the door and considered whether to continue or not, because she had been in this hut for 20 years to avoid death. Finally she realized that if she died of cancer, her family would be in danger, so she decided to face it. Iris gave Stephanie the book and showed her how Death was always watching her. Immediately, a series of dominoes occurred and Iris was killed with a sharp stick thrown straight at her head. Her funeral was held and Darlene was there. Stephanie knew she had to do something to save her family and studied her grandmother's book. Inside it, Iris kept the old coin that almost caused the disaster at Skyview. During that time, everyone went to Howard's house to have fun, organize a barbecue. A series of signs of death appeared. Bobby clumsily dropped a glass of water, causing pieces of it to fall into the cooler. The trampoline was slowly tearing at the edges while underneath it was a heavy, sharp rake. On this side, Stephanie began to recognize some signs of death, so she quickly drove over to the house to warn everyone. And from there, a series of events occurred. Marty's glass. Stephanie's father had a piece of glass, but he didn't drink it and put it on the table next to him. Hogwarts went to the trampoline to play. Then Darlene found the scratcher, quickly took it out and put it in a corner. In the kitchen, Brenda accidentally dropped the beer bottle Eric had placed on it. It hit the gas valve. The pipe moved, causing the scratcher to move as well. Stephanie arrived, but before she could warn him, she became an unwilling spectator of death. As soon as Hogwarts stepped down from the tarp, it tore, startling Julia on this side, knocking over a glass of water containing a shard of glass. Hogwarts stepped on it and fell to the ground. The rake he had just used also fell, starting the lawnmower, cutting off his head. After that horrifying event, Stephanie tried to explain to the whole family about the plan of the Grim Reaper. The Grim Reaper was trying to put everything back to its original position. Those who were supposed to die in the Skyview disaster would die. Those who were not supposed to be born would also die, one by one, following the family tree from oldest to youngest. Because there were so many, it takes the Grim Reaper more times to kill. And in the dream about the Skyview disaster, Mrs. Iris was the second to last to die after the singer's son. So when she died, it was like untying a knot in the family tree. The Grim Reaper came straight for Mr. Howard. Now in the family, only Brenda and Marty were safe because they were not related by blood. The next victim would be the eldest son Eric. This information was quite shocking. So everyone in the family still didn't quite believe it. Despite Stephanie's attempts to explain, everyone left one by one. Only Darlene stayed with her daughter. But Stephanie was still angry with her mother for leaving years ago. That night, Eric was working at a tattoo and piercing shop and was told by the boss to clean up and close the shop after work. It was already past 1 a.m. He used alcohol to clean up and decided to do something to remember his late father, which was to tattoo the word, "father," on his arm. The sound of the speaker caused a jar to fall down. Eric heard it and stepped back, accidentally causing the can of alcohol to fall. One of the chains hanging from the ceiling fan fell off and hooked onto Eric's nose ring. The fan rotated and gradually wrapped the chain around, pulling Eric up. While struggling to remove the hook, the iron lamp fell to the ground, creating sharp sparks and alcohol. By the time Eric escaped, the fire had already flared up. It was early morning. Stephanie was extremely worried because she had not been able to contact Eric all night. She went to wake her brother up and the two went looking for him. Charlie was told by a friend that the tattoo parlor where Eric worked had caught fire last night, which made them extremely worried. However, he was still alive and was almost hit by Stephanie. It turned out that thanks to the jacket Eric wore last night, he was not burned, only a small wound on his arm. He also knew that Stephanie had been calling him all night, but because he was quite tired, he turned it off. Stephanie still could not explain why Eric had escaped death, but she always sensed dangerous signs like the tree trimmer or the ball the children were playing with. Charlie wondered how those things could be dangerous. Then Stephanie said there was a chain reaction like the trimmer falling on the leaf blower. Then he blew on the kids, causing them to kick the balloon into Eric's head. Then the garbage truck in front was also very dangerous. At this time, Julia went out of the house to jog, and the omens that Stefan had speculated earlier happened. But to Julia, she fell right into the garbage can right when the garbage truck was picking up the garbage. The three of them rushed to save Julia. Stephanie climbed onto the truck while Charlie and Eric tried to stop it. However, the driver was playing music so loudly that he did not hear the cries for help. Stephanie climbed up above, trying to pull Julia out before she was crushed. The two brothers below also stopped the truck. However, everything was too late and Stephanie once again had to witness the scene of a family member dying. After that incident, everyone believed Stephanie's words, but she did not understand why the god of death spared Eric and moved to Julia. At this time, Mrs. Brenda revealed a secret. Eric was not Howard's biological son. She had an affair at a time when the couple was at odds, so Eric was not related by blood to everyone. Although Eric was shocked by this news, it was also good for him because he would not be knocked on the door by the Grim Reaper. So after Julia's death, the next person would be Bobby. The most important thing now is to determine the order of death. But Stephanie still doesn't know how to prevent it from happening. She remembers that in Mrs. Iris's book, it was mentioned that JB found the only person who escaped the scythe of death. Mrs. Darlene heard this name and felt very familiar. After a while, she remembered that this person worked at a hospital called Hope River. That hospital wasn't too far away, so everyone decided to run there to find JB. At first, Bobby was advised to stay because it would be safer, but he wanted to go with them because he believed that Stephanie would see the omens and tell him in advance. In addition, Eric also decided to go with them. In the car, Mrs. Darlene and Stephanie had time to talk to each other. Here, she told the reason why she left. Because Darlene was raised by a woman who saw signs of death everywhere. So when she had children, Mrs. Darlene also saw hundreds of ways that Stephanie and Charlie could die. In order to protect her two children's childhood, she decided to leave. After about an hour, the five of them arrived at Hope River Hospital. When they asked the receptionist, they learned that JB worked in the basement. And his full name was William John Bloodworth. William was the singer's son that Iris tried to save in Stephanie's dream. Many years after meeting at Skyview, Iris found William and they became friends. He was the one who helped Iris reinforce the hut that provided her with the best medical services. Stephanie asked directly about the only person who survived when facing death. That was Kimberly Corman, the heroine of the second part. She fell into the river and her heart stopped completely. But the doctor was still able to save her. That broke the chain. This was one way, and the second way was to kill someone and get the rest of that person's life back. According to William's advice, there was no way that was feasible because Kimberly's case was quite rare. He advised everyone to face the truth and enjoy the last little time. Everyone was disappointed and didn't know what to do. So Eric had an idea to feed Bobby peanuts, which he was allergic to. They would apply the method that Kimberly had successfully applied, because he was afraid that Stephanie and the others would stop him. Eric secretly pulled Bobby away quietly. He went to a vending machine to buy peanut candy, but it got stuck. The two brothers smashed it for a while. Then the spring was slightly unfastened and the bag of candy fell down. The two went into the MRI room, which was currently empty. Eric went out for a while, accidentally slammed the door, causing the diary hanging there to fall down on them and the computer keyboard, and started the MRI machine. Eric wanted to steal a wheelchair so that when Bobby finished eating the candy and started having an allergic reaction, he could push him to the emergency room in time. The two carried out the plan. But because the MRI machine was running, the magnetic field was very strong. It would attract anything metal inside. While Bobby was having difficulty breathing, Charlie was outside in the hallway calling to find him. Eric raised the phone and it was immediately sucked back, increasing the magnetic field. Eric was sucked in next along with the wheelchair because he had a lot of earrings on him. Finally, Eric was bent in half. Meanwhile, the nurse outside noticed something unusual and ran over to check. As soon as the door was opened, the spring in the vending machine was sucked in like a bullet straight into Bobby's head. 2 consecutive deaths caused the remaining people to fall into a state of confusion. Charlie also did not understand why Eric, who was not related by blood, had to die. Stephanie reminded William of what he had said when he challenged death and lost. Everything would be chaotic. The next person on the list was Darlene, and she said the only way now was to live at Iris's hut because she had lived there for decades without being found by death. The three hugged to encourage each other, then a coin fell out of Stephanie's bag. A moment later, an old woman picked it up and put it in her purse. Stephanie took her mother to the cabin in a series of signs that death was chasing them. Since the cabin was locked from the inside, they were forced to drive straight into the gate. Although they managed to get in, Stephanie's seatbelt got stuck after the collision. She urged her brother to take their mother inside first so she could deal with it. Things weren't that easy. The lighting on the roof had a problem and it kept sparking. A tree that had been hanging in the house when Stephanie last saw Iris had its wires partially burned and now it fell right on the gas tank below. An explosion occurred, causing the car to fall into the waterhole right next to it, and Stephanie slowly sank below. Charlie was crushed by the trees, but luckily Darlene came to her rescue. That was the last thing she did before being crushed by a nearby electric pole that fell. Charlie ran into the car to save her sister, but no matter what he tried, he could not get his sister's seatbelt off. Finally, Stephanie stopped breathing. Charlie kept giving her artificial respiration and luckily she woke up. Just like Kimberly, Stephanie died and came back to life. Both of them finally escaped the jaws of death. After a while, the family's life gradually stabilized. Today Charlie will have his graduation ceremony and they plan to pick up Jenny, his girlfriend. Jenny's father, a doctor, came out to talk and was very impressed by Charlie's brave act of saving his sister. However, he emphasized that at that time Stephanie only stopped breathing and not her heart. So in theory she was not completely dead. This part is to understand what is about to happen. Just now, when Stephanie fixed the rose on Charlie's shirt, she made her hand bleed. Now there is a red car that looks exactly like the one in the dream. The old lady at the hospital the night before went to buy water and dropped a coin in her wallet. It rolled straight down the train tracks and landed right on the switch. The train came, got off the track, and it slid straight towards Charlie and Stephanie. The two sisters ran for their lives, thinking they had escaped, but the logs on the train came and crushed them. The movie ended there. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video and would love to see more from this channel, please like and subscribe.